Hello there, welcome to Craft with Fee. Today I'm going to with a very quick and easy little project, but it's going to be featuring some of the beautiful Tilda chambray fabrics. These fabrics were released as part of the Woodland range of fabrics, but these ones are going to be around to stay. They are going to be a permanent line and you will be able to purchase them indefinitely. The beauty of them is they meld with all of the ranges. You will find a colour of chambray to go with just about everything. I have pulled out a vintage fabric today to use in my project, and it teams up beautifully with sand. So I just wanted to come on and show you. These are available in the store, feefeeandme.com. You can buy them in fat eighths, fat quarters, or you can even get a half-metre bundle if you buy 2 fat quarters. I won't cut them into fat quarters for you, I'll leave them whole. Anyway, I will show you what the project's going to be and tell you what you need. We're going to be making a super easy little zipper pouch. Now, I know we've made lots of zipper pouches here on the channel before. This one's a little different because it's going to be using a top sewn lace zip. Now, for people that are afraid of zips, and there are many of you around, I hopefully with some of my previous tutorials have helped to ease the pain of zips, but this one, believe me, is as easy as it gets. It's a top sewn zip. You can't get it any easier. So to make this little pouch, you're going to need a piece of lining fabric, and for that I'm using some of the chambray as discussed. I also need some chambray as binding, so I'll give you the measurements of them all in a moment. You're going to need a 9-inch lace zip, which is top sewn, and I've chosen this lovely taupey colour because it's sort of got a vintagey feel, and that is the one that we have in store, so that's the one that I'm using. And then I'm using this gorgeous Tilda fabric, and it goes beautifully, I feel, with the chambray. It's just gorgeous. Okay, so let me give you the measurements. So you're going to need 3 pieces. You're going to need a lining, an outer, and some fusible parlan, all that measure 6.5 inches in width by 12 inches in length. Okay, then you're going to need 2 pieces of binding fabric that measure 8 inches by 2 inches, and I have chosen to go with the same as my lining. These are going to be the chambray. Okay, so what we're going to do to begin with is we're going to fuse our parlan to the back of our main fabric, which I have already done. We are then going to lay the chambray, or your lining fabric, on top of your outer fabric, like so, and then you are going to sew down both ends with a 1/4 inch seam, and then we'll come back. Okay, there we go. So then we are going to turn it around to the right side so that you will have a seam on either end. Now I want you to take this over to the ironing board and I want you to iron it flat. Okay, so now you have some beautiful crisp ends. What we're going to do next is we're going to sew one of the ends onto our zip. So we're going to center the zip so that we have our pulley on one side. Depending on which side you want to pull it from, you decide whether or not you want it to go this way or whether or not you want it to go this way. So I think we might go this way. And we are going to turn it to the back side to make sure that we're getting it right. And we're going to pin. Let me grab some pins here. They're in a magnetic tub and they're, well, they want to stay there. They're finding it very difficult to come up. Okay, so we're just going to pin it all the way along here like this. And so we're making sure that it's just below where this zip is going to work, where the mechanism is, because we want this piece of mechanism here at the back of the zip to still flow past it, if you can see what I mean there. Okay, so it's about 1/8 of an inch out from the line on the back of your zip, where the zip runs. Now I apologise in advance if you can hear a heap of rain because it's a pretty miserable day here today. I've had to put the lights on over the sewing table so that you can actually see what I'm doing because it was super dark. Okay, so we are now going to take this over to the sewing machine. We're going to unzip it and we are going to stitch straight down on top of that zip. Okay, as you can see, the zip is sewn on there nicely. It's nice and neat at the back and it's nice and neat at the front. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we are going to sew the other side to the other side of the zip. Now to do that, you do need to open up the zip again, and you need to lay the zip down on top. So we'll just make sure we've got it lined up, because we want the zip to be lined up with the fabric. Okay, so we're just going to fold that up there like so. Make sure that the fabric still remains equal on both sides, and then I'm going to pop the pins in. Now you can do this on the top side or the back side. Just make sure that, as I mentioned before, that you have left enough gap away from the zip, the actual zip mechanism, so that it can run well along the fabric. We don't want it to be hindered in any way. Okay. So I like to just turn it over to the back. Make sure that I've got it sort of in the right area, and then you can pin it from the front if you want. Just like that. And then we're just going to sew that one down as well. So once again, just before you go to the machine, just make sure that you've got it lined up so that it's going to be straight. And that looks pretty okay to me. Okay. Okay, so now we have something that looks a little bit like this. So we're going to close up that zip, and now you can see that we have the formations of a little pouch. So you can decide when it comes time as to where you're going to have this zip on your pouch. You can have it at the top, you can have it in the middle, you can, you know, move it around wherever you want it to be, because this is like a circular type thing. Now, this is designed to be a flat type pouch, so we're not going to be boxing any corners or anything, but what we need to do to begin with is we need to get this zip operational, because at the moment it's far too long, as you can see. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a pair of scissors and we're going to snip off the end over here where we have our stopper. So this is what stops the zip from zipping off itself. Okay, we're going to cut that off. Now on this side, we are going to need to put our pulley towards the center there, and then we're going to take this over to the sewing machine, and we are just going to run a few stitches through this side only. You can push this piece here back, but you just need to run a few stitches along here, about 1/8 of an inch, just to hold the end in before we decide to cut it. Okay, and there we have the stitching in place. So what we can do, now that we've got the zip where it needs to be in the body of the little bag, we can then snip off the end of our zip. Just like that. Okay, so now it's time to decide whereabouts you're going to put this zip. So I want mine at the top. I want it to go around about there. So we're just going to make sure that lining's pulled out nice and straight. We're then going to take it over to the ironing board and we're going to give it a nice press. And there we have a nice crisp top there, just so that we can make sure we've got our zip straight and everything's going to be looking good. Okay, we need to take our pieces of binding. So as mentioned before, these are 2 inches by 8 inches, and you need to fold them in half with the raw edges together and iron them so they're nice and flat, so that they look like this. Okay, now this here will measure in the vicinity of 6 inches. Okay, so this is 8. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with our piece of binding around about that much over the top, and then we are then going to fold that piece there over the bottom, and we are going to sew this all the way down. And let me take you over to the sewing machine and show you how we're going to do this. Okay, so remember we've got this little piece here folded over like that. I apologise for the lighting, but as I mentioned, it's a horrible, horrible day, and I can't bring over my LED lighting to the sewing machine. Okay, so we are going to start to sew this binding down. So we've got raw edges matching raw edges. There we go. And then we're going to go down until we are about 1/4 of an inch, maybe 1/2 an inch from the bottom. Okay, so here's the bottom coming up here. Now I'm going to actually stop this and pull it out, which I wouldn't normally do, but I want to be able to show it to you properly. Okay, so what we're going to do is we are going to do exactly the same thing as we did down the bottom, and we are going to fold this under like that. Okay, now if you've got too much bulk there, which I have, I'm going to snip a bit of it off because we don't need all that. So we're folding it under, and then we're going to go start back over the top of the stitching where we were before. And then we're just going to go off the edge. Okay, so this is what we have. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull out the binding from both ends like that. Now you can take it over and give it a good press, which I do recommend that you do, but for the purpose of the video I won't. I'm just going to show you how to do it from the back. So then we're just going to fold it over to the back. Now you can machine sew this down if you're very clever. I never seem to be able to get it very neat when I do it that way, and I much prefer handwork anyway. So we are going to fold over the two ends first and get rid of any of our loose cotton to make sure that they're at right angles. So there we go. I'm going to pop a clip in there. And then we can just pop a couple of clips through the middle here. And then we're going to take some thread and we are going to do a blind stitch to stitch it down, just like you would on the binding of a quilt. And I've shown many videos on that. We're just going to stitch that down. And of course you're going to repeat the process on the other side of your little zippy pouch. And there you have it. You have a gorgeous top sewn zip, which coordinates beautifully with the chambray and this gorgeous fabric, and in a very, very simple matter of minutes you have yourself a beautiful little zippy pouch that you can gift to somebody. Of course it's fully enclosed on the inside, there is no raw edges at all. It's gorgeous and it's super easy to make. So there will be photos at the start of this video on what this looks like when it's finished. I hope that you've enjoyed today's tutorial and I look forward to chatting with you through the week, and I'll be back next week with another one for you. Bye for now.